This is definitely not how a church wants to make the news. And on top of that, I think a lot of people get it wrong about female pastors. Hey, folks, my name is Santino Pino, and usually in my YouTube shorts, it's about fitness content. Usually in my long form content, it's about federal law enforcement headlines. But every now and then, I just have an off topic news story that I either want to talk about or react to. Last month, I did one about a video about a commercial gym that came out. And today, just on my heart, on my mind, was talking about female pastors. And in the news, let's go look at this. There's a preview of what we're going to talk about. This is from February, so this is a few months old. Southern Baptist Convention cuts ties with two churches over female pastors. Article by Greg Garrison, and this article is on al.com, alabama.com. So this is a topic that is something that I have been thinking about a lot recently, near and dear to my heart, because I didn't really grow up in a church family. I can say my family did go to church. It was very inconsistent. Um, were we really theologically educated? No. Did I understand even the parts of the Bible growing up? No. But did I know who Jesus was? Did I know the story of creation? Yes, I did. I did, I learned kind of like the kid stuff in church, but nothing. The church kid stuff when I was growing up, but I didn't really advance. I didn't become a Christian until really I was in my 40s. Okay. Um, and so my introduction to it is as an adult. I'm choosing to just follow the doctrine, and we're going to go over a lot of things today. And I just read biblically that, a pastor should be male. And that's what I went with. Okay, that's what I'm going with. I'm like, well, if that's biblical. But then I started thinking about it a different way, and I want you to stick around for it, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Okay, stick around because I think we might be able to connect over the issue, hopefully. Or you might rage bait me in the comments. I don't know. Okay, but let's get into the article and then we'll go over it. The Southern Baptist Convention's Executive Committee on Tuesday approved a recommendation to discontinue its relationship with two churches that have women pastors on staff. Now, first, the fact that this is a Southern Baptist church, very, very, uh, for the most part, the Baptist church, yeah, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. There's always going to be those progressive churches out there. But for the most part, any type of Baptist church, you're only going to see male pastors there. And here's what I can tell you. When I was living in Tucson, Arizona, I attended, I'm going to give them a free shout out right now. I attended Rising Star Southern Baptist Church in Tucson, Arizona. It is a predominantly black church. It is the organ playing, sweating and spitting type church, and it was one of the greatest times I've ever had at a church. It really was. It was just so welcoming an environment. In fact, I absolutely love the story of my first time attending that church when I was going there. It was sadly, I was only able to go for a few months before I moved to Phoenix. But while I was going there, I remember my first service. It was I just took me and my boys were really young, and again, predominantly black church. And they do that thing where it's like, hey, if it's your first time here at Rising Star, we want you to stand up, and we got a little gift for you. And three people stood up. There was a woman, there was an old man, and then me. And I was like in near one of the back rows. That was me at that church. I showed up. I went to the back row, which is out of character for me. And it's like, hey, thank you, sister, for being here. Thank you, brother, for being here. And the pastor looks at me from the stage, and I felt loved and welcomed when he did this. Okay, loved and welcomed. He goes, "Oh, everybody here at Rising Star, we bring them in of all shapes, sizes, and colors in here." And I was laughing internally that, I was like, if you have to say that, there's a lot of people that don't believe that, but it was just the nicest people in the world. I never really got too involved in the church with the groups or anything like that, but I absolutely loved going to service. I loved bumping into people from Rising Star out in the public and just getting to know people. It was just such a great experience. But again, very predominantly, here's how it is: men are pastors, women are not. And but still, everybody there at that church absolutely loved the environment. It's a great environment. The executive committee approved recommendations from the SBC Credentials Committee, asking them to discontinue working with the Crossing Church in Tampa, Florida, and Zion Temple Baptist in O'Fallon. Baptist reported websites for both churches indicated that they have female pastors. The stated reason for the discontinuation of the relationship was that both churches lack of intent to cooperate to resolve the question of faith and practice. So, and this is what I teased in with was, this is probably not the type of headline any church wants to have. I'm willing to bet that I'm always going to lean towards a more positive mindset, that this is probably something that they would have hoped would have been resolved quietly, right? Quietly, like, this is our doctrine. This is our doctrine. This is how we operate. This is how we live. This is how we teach. But we don't want this to be a national news story. Things happen, right? Efforts to reach the churches for a response on Wednesday were unsuccessful. Hold on a second. All right. Let's highlight that line for a second. I just want to see this because this is an off topic. This is going back to February 19th, right? So you're not going to see this while I'm doing it. I'm pulling up my calendar because I got all kinds of stuff on my calendar. Never mind. I'm going to show this. This is hilarious. Okay. They're mad that they didn't reach out. Okay. February 19th is Thursday. They're mad. They reached out on Wednesday and are publishing an article the next day saying that we reached out to them Wednesday and we haven't heard from them. What? You gave them less than a day to respond, and more than likely you sent the whatever request at like 10 p.m. and you're probably posting the article at 8 a.m. That is hilarious. Okay, so we're back. Yeah, look at this. Updated. It was published the next day at 7 a.m. Because February 18th was Wednesday. So Thursday at 7 a.m. they publish an article saying that they didn't reach out to us by the next day. I love stuff like that. You just lost all credibility in the article. Congratulations. Anyway, continuing. According to the Baptist Faith and Message Statement, which summarizes the beliefs of Southern Baptist Convention, while both men and women are gifted for service in the church, the office of pastor is limited to men as qualified by Scripture. And we're going to get into that. Let's just finish the article. The two churches in question would not be qualified to send members as voting messengers to the annual meeting of Southern Baptist Convention, which convenes next Orlando June 9th to 10th. Okay. Saddleback church founder Rick Warren gave an impassioned defense of women pastors in 2023 after his church was defellowshipped by the SBC. Reverend Lambert, pastor of the First Baptist Church of Jacksonville, Florida, said he may propose a new name for the Southern Baptist Church, Southern Baptist Convention, when it meets in Orlando, if it keeps fighting over women's pastors. Wow. His suggestions, Baptist debating the existence of women pastors, for short. BDUP. All right. I hope you're successful. Reverend Lambert, I hope you're successful in founding BDUP. I'm going to look up later on. Okay, so let's talk about it and then talk about my personal journey with this. All right. So arguments often used against female pastors. Yeah, I used ChatGPT to put this together for me. Don't be mad at me. I'm a one-man show here. All right. Timothy 2:12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over man. That's the most direct passage people point to. Some interpret it as a universal rule prohibiting from holding authoritative teaching roles like pastors. And I very specifically asked ChatGPT to give me New Testament references, not just general biblical references. I don't like cherry picked verses. I really don't. Sometimes and sometimes you have to. I get it. Like sometimes there's just a verse that perfectly fits something that you're trying to say and you got to cherry pick it. I get it, right? I'm not saying don't do it. I just say don't do it all the time. The word should flow within what you're saying, not you should flow around what the word is saying, right? And but I do view it like this is that I think the Lord was just kind of looking down during Old Testament times, looking at us during the Old Testament times, saying, I just got to go down there. Yeah, I just got to go down there. And and give us our interpretation of it. And guess what? According to the Bible, that's supposed to happen again, right? We don't know when. We can't predict it. It's impossible. But apparently that's supposed to happen again. And I just hope I'm on the right side of things if it does happen while I'm alive. Okay. Um, Timothy and Titus leaders are described as the husband of one wife. Some argue that this implies church leadership roles were intended for men. And I can also see that too. But I'll tell you a question that I had for a pastor that I actually asked my pastor at my old church about this is that, I was starting to get more of a leadership role at that church. And I never intended on ever becoming per se a pastor, right? And I don't think I ever will. But if I did, I had a question for the pastor. It's like I'm divorced, right? Like, and now at time of this video, I'm divorced twice, right? Like, could I still be a pastor? Like, if I met someone through the church and remarried, could I? Now, here's what I can say about my marriages is I did follow what I could biblically as best I can and fought for reconciliation as best as I could. Um, and that is biblical. And we had a great conversation about it. And this video is really not about that, but the husband of one wife. Like it's one of those things, okay, you're sitting there thinking about it's like, okay, I get it. We're either smarter or dumber these days where we need descriptions of what you mean, right? I don't know if that's a sign of intelligence or idiocracy, but the husband of one wife, well, what about if they are divorced? And there's probably scripture about that I'm not thinking of right now. So, but continuing on, Corinthians, women should remain silent in the churches. All right, now listen. If you know about Corinth, right? There's going to be extreme statements in the Bible about Corinth on either side. All right. So don't think that this division in per se politics or religion is a new thing. So I'm not even going to address that one. But however, there are passages often used to support or allow female leadership. Women in ministry roles in Phoebe in Romans is called a deacon. Priscilla helps teach Apollos, a learned man. These are examples that suggest women are active in teaching and ministry. Romans, Junia is described as outstanding amongst the apostles. Some interpret this as evidence as a woman in a very high leadership role in the early church. Galatians, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one. Often used to argue that gender does not limit the roles in Christ, including leadership. And listen, like some of these concepts in our language today didn't even exist back then. So the fact that a lot of people take like words and concepts that didn't exist 2,000 years ago and use them to try and affect policy today is funny to watch most of the time. But and per se, that's what this video could be about. We, in a way, we are talking about that. That's something that has been doctrine in the Bible for a long time. Is a conversation topic today. Now, here, what's my path with this? Okay, so I had only ever experienced male pastors. Okay, I had only ever experienced going to a church, seeing a male pastor, minister, father, priest, and learning from them. However, I will say, and my actual first experience with any type of female pastor, I'd met some, but I had never been in a church or heard from them, was actually my second wedding. So the second wedding, a lot of it was just kind of pre-planned, pre-packaged, and didn't even know or meet the officiant until the wedding day, right? And because it was a destination wedding. So it turns out female, which I guess I did not have a preference of going in. I didn't address it, didn't think of it. It was just, oh wow, I just didn't expect a female officiant by default. Wedding was beautiful. It was a great experience. No complaints other than it didn't last forever, right? Um, and then recently, a friend of mine that you're going to see on the channel soon, because we're going to do a podcast episode together, uh, introduced me to a church, and he sent me the YouTube link to it. Revere Church. I might as well plug them. Revere Church, amazing. I'm there at first service every Sunday in the chat. Is led by really multiple female pastors. And I'll fully admit that the first time that I clicked on, I wasn't going to click off, but I was just like, this is going to be a new experience for me. And that's why I stuck around. It was a new experience. The first thing I want you to know as a Christian, okay, whatever your beliefs are, and you're right, okay, if you read the Bible and you believe that there should be no female pastors in your church, at your church, you're right. You're absolutely right, because that is your community rules, your community guidelines, right? I might as well call them that because we're so used to the social media space with community guidelines, right? And if the quote unquote tongue-in-cheek community guidelines, which are your biblical philosophy, right? Your community guidelines at your church allow for female pastors, well, in that context, you are also correct. Okay, so I don't want anybody to feel like I'm not supporting or anything right there. What I'm really trying to do is get either side to look at the other side and see and understand why they're thinking that, because I am a person that really has existed on both sides and probably is right now in the middle, okay, on it. So I started attending this church, and really my first time that I sat through it, I'm just like, am I going to enjoy this? And I did. It was a great message. It really resonated with me. And on top of that, it really resonated with me probably because there was that subtle personal story connection between me and Pastor Bianca, where we had both gone through divorce. And I don't know any of her history. She just mentioned it. Really, I think in the first sermon that I sat through, I was like, oh, she's been through divorce. I've been through divorce. My ears perked up. Okay, I'm listening. I'm resonating right now. Like it's weird to, okay, a divorced female pastor. Okay, well, I'm divorced. I want to go to church. You know what? The world is kind of weird. I'm not mad that I'm experiencing this right now. And so I sat through it. And then on top of that, one thing I loved about the church is that it's not just like one pastor led. There's a team of pastors that provide that. So everybody's getting something out of it. It's amazing. I love seeing that. Now, if you go to a church that is kind of single figurehead around them, there's nothing wrong with that either. That's part of your community, as long as you are growing closer with God. Now, however, here's what I will say. If you're part of it, if your true belief is absolutely no female pastors, okay, God's not going to be mad at you for educating yourself. Okay, you should be educated, right? My suggestion is, I mean, you could attend a church service with me on a Sunday at Revere on YouTube, and just attend and be. I already know you as a Christian, you would be polite, you'd be engaging more than likely in the comments. By all means, jump on and just experience it one time, and see if you have the same experience I did. I was like, oh wow, I am getting value out of this. Or maybe you're not. You can go in closed off. I'm okay with that. Like, go in closed off if you need to, if that's what you need to do to just get experience and get education on it, if you're going to attend a female-led church service and you're going to go in closed-minded, go for it. I'm serious, go for it, because I think you as a Christian, you're a good person. You're not going to misbehave. Okay? You're not going to misbehave. Let's say that you are on the other side where you think that churches that don't have female pastors are misogynist. You're also incorrect, because like my experience at Rising Star, which was very, very adamant in their doctrine that females are not in a position of teaching or ministry at the church. They have roles that they could play at the church, but not those roles, right? That church was predominantly majority female that went to that church. So they're getting value out of it. So you can't say they're misogynist, is that they're getting value out of that. And every church, I know that there's probably one or two extreme versions of what I'm about to say in the United States, but there's no church out there that's just male or female. I get it. Okay. There's going to be somebody's going to Google it right now and find one with 6 members somewhere in the United States. Say, hey, this one's just one sex or the other. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a medium-sized or large-size successful church. That's what I'm talking about. So if you're completely anti-female pastor, I think you should educate yourself and check out the other side, see if you get some value out of it. If you're completely thinking that the other side is misogynist, then you should at least check them out too. But that one's going to be tougher to do via YouTube, because you really need to embrace the community, right? You really need to get into the community. We already know that if you're per se an anti-male pastor, right, where you think that pastors should only be female and you're against the anti-male misogynist idea of a pastor, that was said tongue-in-cheek, I don't believe that, okay? Then I do think you need to go and get into the crowd and sit in the pews, sit in the rows with other churchgoers to see their perspective from it and really open your eyes. And thing is, listen, and here's what I'm going to close off with. If one person sees this video and either goes to church for the first time in a long time or ever, or educates themselves and just attends a different service than usually they would be comfortable attending one time, that's a success. That's a success in this video. I'm not trying to change your doctrine. I'm not trying to change your beliefs. I just want you to see the other side, to educate yourself, because that's what I did, and I'm very happy that I did. I'm very happy that I did. I told the church today, I was like, I think I'm part of the Revere family today. Now, here's the thing. The internet is forever. I don't know if you're watching this video 10 years from now. It's 2026. If this video somehow still exists in 2036, I don't know if I'm still going to Revere. I don't know if Revere is still there. I hope it is. Okay. But right now, in this season of my life, that church is a perfect puzzle piece for me. And I think you guys should check it out. You don't have to check out the one that just anything. Go find some shorts on YouTube to watch. Just see if you get some value out of it. See if you can find a church with a female pastor you could check out. And again, if you are anti-male pastor, I really think you should probably loosen up those ties up there. You probably have plenty of justification for thinking about that, probably some trauma, but they're all good for the most part. They're all good. There's always going to be bad eggs in every basket, but the Christian church is a great thing, and it exists for a great reason. It's nothing but and there's great people in there. So yeah, that was my off-topic conversation for this one. These will be random. I'll start a playlist for it. Appreciate you sticking around. Hey, like this video too. I will tag my last off-topic video there, and I will tag my fitness content up there. Like and subscribe really helps me out. Thanks for sticking around. See you in the next video, and check out my other stuff. Thanks for being here. This is a really long goodbye, but the off-topic ones are more fun. My my inspiration for the off-topic conversation is actually Dr. Mike Israetel. Shout out. Yeah.